Ohio AFL-CIO, and we called this meeting today to make clear that organized labor support for Ted Strickland and his U.S. Senate bid against Rob Portman is not only wide, but it's deep. And to indicate what that means in terms of political action and why we're on the side of Ted Strickland. The people speaking today represent roughly 600,000 workers in the state of Ohio. You're going to hear from public sector workers, you're going to hear from private sector workers in the manufacturing and construction and building trades side of things. The political action that the AFL-CIO and our affiliated unions and the other unions in the state of Ohio means that there'll be voter contacts on the front door, at the work site, through the phones, and through direct mail. So it's a massive Labor 26 undertaking to make sure that our members and working people understand the difference between the two candidates. And when you look at the issues that matter most, it's a clear choice that Ted Strickland should be in the U.S. Senate representing Ohio. And we'll go over some of those issues. Before I introduce our union leader speakers, let me make a couple comments about workers' rights and wages and where the two candidates are. This issue of right to work is wrong, where workers' rights are being denied and taken away. Rob Portman has co-sponsored a bill while he's been in Congress, H.R. 1109 back in 2001, and you might ask, well, maybe he's evolved his position since then. Well, I can tell you that just last year, when the Americans for Prosperity were holding their national summit in Columbus, Ohio, the Koch brothers gathering, Rob Portman was invited to speak at that conference, which he did, knowing full well that one of the agenda items was how to make right to work happen back in their home state. I had sent Senator Portman a letter indicating to him that this was on the agenda and he ought to not take up the invitation. So we know well and good that he did take up the invitation. He spoke at that convention, and as a result, he's fully behind these issues that the Koch brothers are advancing, such as right to work is wrong. On wage law, Senator Portman, then Congressman Portman, has been wrong on prevailing wage law. You'll hear a little bit about that today. He's been wrong on minimum wages. Just recently, in 2014, he voted against raising the federal minimum wage to $10.10 per hour, which would affect positively over 1 million Ohioans. Overtime pay. Rob Portman was instrumental in the Bush administration when they changed the overtime law to change who was exempt and who wasn't exempt. And as a result, millions of Americans were not getting paid for the work that they were doing. Now, I'm pleased to say that just recently, the Obama administration has changed the overtime rule. I'm sure you've heard about that, to where the so-called mid-level managers have to make at least $47,000 a year now in order to become exempt, almost double what it is currently. Rob Portman said that he had major concerns about doing that. So Rob Portman has not been where we needed to be on wage law for Ohioans. And what about safety and health? Occupational Safety and Health Act. Rob Portman voted on 2 occasions to defund occupational safety and health programs. So these are some of the things related to workers' rights and wages where Rob Portman has been wrong, and Ted Strickland has been right on every single one of those issues that I just mentioned. Now, I'm going to introduce some labor leaders. First, you're going to hear from the public sector. You're going to hear from our host today, Becky Williams, President of the Ohio Education Association. Then Becky Higgins, Becky Higgins, President of the Ohio Education Association. You'll hear from Melissa Crawford, President of the Ohio Federation of Teachers. And you'll hear from Joe Regola, Executive Director of the Ohio Association of Public School Employees. And I'll come back up and introduce our other speakers. President Higgins.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning. I'm Becky Higgins, President of the 123,000 member Ohio Education Association, representing teachers and teaching professionals throughout Ohio. OEA is a passionate advocate for Ohio students and public education system. I'm happy you are here today and proud to share with you why we support Ted Strickland for United States Senator. Ohio teachers and educators changed the course of Ted Strickland's life. Ted was the first in his family to attend college, and we know that in the U.S. Senate, he will fight to make sure all Ohio children have the same kind of opportunities he had. As governor, Ted delivered for Ohio students and educators, taking Ohio's education system from 27th to 5th best in the nation, freezing college tuition at Ohio's public universities, making tuition free for veterans, and putting in place a constitutional system of school funding. Ted also worked against Senate Bill 5 and has always stood for the rights of workers to form unions and collectively bargain for better working conditions. Rob Portman, on the other hand, has supported a national right-to-work bill that threatens to decimate unions. It's very clear to me that Strickland's opponent would be harmful for Ohio's public school students. Members of the Ohio Education Association believe there is a better solution, a solution that looks at Ohio's public schools as the best investment we can make in our future. That solution is Ted Strickland. Our children are vital for the future of our state. They represent not only our hopes, but also the values of their parents, teachers, and communities, their partners in learning and growing. We believe every Ohio child has the right to learn. That is, the right to a high-quality public education. We believe Ohioans share this value and hope for our children, and Ted Strickland agrees. Senator Portman supports charter schools, giving our tax dollars to out-of-state corporations that want to profit off our children's education, and supporting redirecting public education funding to private schools. He even supported a $71 million grant to Ohio charter schools, despite findings of data manipulation in national state headlines detailing fraud and a lack of oversight. Senator Portman has also voted to slash hundreds of millions of dollars from our neediest schools. He has voted repeatedly to help establish a federal school voucher system that would allow taxpayer funds to go to private schools. Ted Strickland puts education first. He supports a constitutional funding system that guarantees a quality public education for all Ohio students, regardless of their zip code. What will our students, our children, see if Portman continues to redirect public education funding? They will see larger class sizes. Ted Strickland supports smaller class size and knows it is a foundation for student learning. They will see older school books and fewer school supplies, while Ted Strickland will invest in the classroom priorities that our students need. They will see fewer course offerings like advanced placement courses, foreign languages, music, and art. Ted Strickland's education agenda will put students at the center of all reform. In fact, most Ohio newspapers agree that Ted Strickland has done quite a lot to advance education. So we are going to work together to elect Ted Strickland to the U.S. Senate. Thank you.